Anchor baby. Hillary Clinton is in big, big trouble. Anchor baby. Donald Trump, he is on the rise. Anchor baby. And there was a terrorist plot, a foil, by the way, from a Muslim terrorist by 3 young American heroes. Surely you've seen about it. I'm going to talk about that, so much more. Anchor baby, here on The Voice of Resistance. I'm Randall Terry. Anchor baby.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
If you are a new viewer, I welcome you. We recently had the privilege, our network that I'm on, we had over 30 affiliates pick up this program and the programming, the 24/7 programming of the Walk TV. It's a great privilege for me to be in your living room. And I want to tell you just a little bit about myself so that this show makes some sense. And if you are a regular viewer of the program, one of our favorite people in the world, please indulge me for just a moment, okay? I am the founder of Operation Rescue. I have spent my entire adult life in the public arena fighting against the killing of babies by abortion. I've been fighting for decades against the militant homosexual marriage movement. And I have a master's degree, believe it or not, from a military university in diplomacy and international terrorism. So a good deal of this program revolves around international affairs and specifically on Islamic terrorism, on Islamic nations. And I've had my life threatened many times, had to move under duress. Had the FBI once come and warn me, local police come and warn me. So I take what we do very seriously. I take it very seriously. But I fear God more than I fear man. And there's a phrase from a great writer, G.K. Chesterton. He said, "That which is ridiculous deserves to be ridiculed." And you might remember in 1 Kings chapter 18, the prophet Elijah, who challenged the prophets of Baal to a contest. And he said, you build a big pile of wood and cut an oxen up and put it on top, and I'll do the same, and we'll call upon our gods, and the God who answers by fire, he's God. You remember that story? And when the prophets of Baal were dancing and cutting themselves, Elijah mocked them. The Bible says Elijah mocked them. Sure, he's a God. Maybe he's on a trip and you can't find him. Maybe he's going to the bathroom and he can't be disturbed. Maybe he's asleep and you just can't wake him up. So, all of that to say, you will hear me say things and see B-roll, things that we put up, that are probably a little on the jarring side for you. And the only reason it's jarring is because we've become so politically correct as a culture that when people say the truth clearly, there's a verse in Hosea that says the prophet, not that I'm calling myself a prophet, but the point of is this, that the prophet is considered a madman. In other words, somebody who speaks the truth clearly is called crazy. So you'll hear me say without equivocation, abortion is murder. Homosexual marriage is a sin against God, a crime against man. Islam is Orthodox historic Islam is a threat to human liberty, and it's incompatible with human rights as they have been given to us by God and explained in our Declaration of Independence and in our Constitution. So I hope you stay with me. If you stay with me, you'll find this refreshingly abrasive. All right, let's use that. I've got to talk about our dear friends. In fact, let's do it right now. God bless these 3 young men who risked their lives to stop the Muslim terrorist who could have killed dozens, scores, maybe even over 100 people. Thank God that they saw him, that they tackled him, that they knocked him out, they subdued him. And as you know, if you've seen any of the footage, they're very self-effacing. These are childhood friends taking a trip around Europe together, and by the grace and the kindness of God, they were in the right place at the right time. We have to honor them. We have to thank God for the fact that they were there and that they acted. And this is, again, if you're a new viewer, one of the things that I tend to do is take the news and then apply it to us so that we're not just sitting there as observers on our couch doing nothing, but how does this impact me? What can I learn from this? Okay? What you can learn from the situation that just happened in France, or on that train going into France, is that, number one, Muslim militants who want to kill people have a narrative. They have a storyline that they're following. And it involves the life of Muhammad and his early companions. You can also learn from this that sometimes violence is quickly in order. You can also learn from this that sometimes you have to act, and you have to act quickly. All right? If they'd have hesitated, it's very possible that they would have been dead. So when lethargy and cowardice reign in the world, when political correctness has shackled us, when fear grips us, or fear of our reputation, fear of people saying that we're too radical, when fear has literally disemboweled us, put shackles on our feet, when we see examples of courage, it's inspirational. And we need to applaud that courage, but we also need to then look in the mirror and say, what would I have done? What would I have done? Would I have been ready? And if not, Lord, what can I do and what can you do in me to make me ready, so that in an hour of trial, I'm prepared to stand. I'm prepared to risk my life in the service of God and my fellow man. I'll be right back. Thanks to friends like you, we have state-of-the-art cameras and state-of-the-art teleprompters and state-of-the-art gear here in the studio. We have one big need, however. We have not yet been able to upgrade our computers. The computers that we use for a television broadcast or to create a documentary are not like the kind that you can just go buy at Best Buy. They are expensive because it takes so much horsepower to create TV series and or documentaries. So I'm asking you, if you want to see this show grow and you want to see us finish the What Would Muhammad Do series, help us get these computers. 3 computers that we need right now are going to be just shy of $20,000. That's the kind of horsepower that we need. Go to the GoFundMe page you see right there. Watch the pilot for What Would Muhammad Do? And if you like the show, give us a gift. You are a genius. All right, you're actually a pool of wisdom, at least if we're on a sliding scale. I was thinking over the weekend, I'm reading all these stories about Donald Trump, okay? And whether it's the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Reuters, reading them, and I'm thinking about to myself as I listen to the words of the reporters, and then I read the words of the quotes from voters, I'm thinking, these reporters, and I'm not trying to be unkind, these reporters are not smart. They're not smart. Now here's what I found out. I gotta put this down. I have been interviewed, the front page of the New York Times, front page Washington Post, the Rolling Stone, Dan Rather interviewed me, Connie Chung, Oprah. I mean, I've been on Oprah's show, Donahue, Sean Hannity more times than I can remember. Sean's a good man, by the way. Thank God for him. What I learned over the years is that there's a difference between wisdom and the ability to articulate. There's a difference between wisdom and looking good. Looking good, you know, having a nice suit on. There's a lot of people in the world, let's start with our president, who have nice suits. They do a great job reading a script, very articulate. He's not wise. By biblical standards, he's a fool. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. He does not fear God. He promotes the murder of babies. He's kowtowing to Muslim militants. He's just given the biggest gift in the history of Islam to a terrorist state, okay? A state sponsor of terrorism. There's only 4 in the nation or in the world that the U.S. State Department lists as a state sponsor of terrorism. So he might have a nice wardrobe. He might have a flashing smile. He might be articulate. But you are wiser than him. You're a genius compared to him if you fear God and you know the 10 Commandments and you're trying to abide by them and you're proclaiming them. You're a genius. So to come back around to Trump, I have been following political battles for my entire adult life. I've run for office on 3 separate occasions. No, maybe 4. Yeah, 4 separate occasions. I beat President Obama in an Oklahoma primary. I beat him in 14 counties, literally, in the 2012 election, the Democratic primary. I eat this stuff up because the alternative to this stuff is shooting wars, okay? Assassinations, disappearances, torture, exile. I mean, the reason we have elections is so we don't have to revert to the brutality that centuries past experienced, and in some places still experienced today. So this stuff is important to me. So I'm reading these articles constantly, and I'm bewildered at the ignorance of the questions, the folly of the blindness of these people. And then I realized I have to tell my viewers how smart they are. Because you can lift up your voice and say, this politically correct stuff is garbage and it's destroying the country. You can stand up and say that, you know, when it's about anchor babies, okay? That's why I started the show, Anchor Babies. Because now the politically correct machine is trying to say that the term anchor baby is a slur. It's like a racial slur. Now you think of some of the bad racial slurs that no one should say, we don't say. Think of the racial slurs. Now you're going to compare those racial slurs to the term anchor baby? These people are out of their minds. It's like they're trying to outstrip each other in who can be the most ridiculous. And if you're not falling for it, you're smart. You're a genius compared to them on that sliding scale. So when you know something to be true because it's anchored in the Word of God, because it's anchored in the laws of God, because it's anchored in Christian history, about child killing, about marriage, about the threat of historic Islam, about how Christian communities and nations were just obliterated by the sword of Islam, and then you have the courage to say these things out loud, you show yourself to be more wise than the writer at the New York Times who just can't figure out, why do people like Donald Trump? I don't get it. Christians must be involved in government, period. If Christians weren't involved in government, we would not have a United States of America. And there have been brilliant Christian minds over the centuries, such as John Locke, who is called the philosopher of American liberty. He was quoted by Clarence Thomas in his recent dissent on the homosexual marriage decision. If we don't understand John Locke, we don't understand the founding of America. I want to send you this book and my book, The Sword, subtitled The Blessing of Righteous Government and The Overthrow of Tyrants. I want to send you these 2 books for a gift of whatever you can afford. Pay the $8 shipping and handling, which does not cover our costs, and then give a gift of whatever size you want, and we'll send you these books. If you cannot afford anything but the $8, can't even afford that, write us a note, and we'll send them to you for free. I want you to have these books so that you can be better equipped to fight in the political arena. Come on, order them today. I want to give you some illustrations about what I'm talking about with the press. And it's not new news that most of the mainstream press are deceivers. I'm in media, okay? I've been in media since 1989. In addition to all of my pro-life political activism, all the jail time that I've done, all the speeches and appearances, I've been broadcasting since 1989 on radio or television for most of those years and done tons of interviews on other people's shows, all right? I've been on the ground. I've interviewed big shots. I have an agenda. I have an agenda. I admit it. My agenda is to see truth prevail, to call balls and strikes. And truth is given to us by God, the Almighty, with a capital T, the laws of God. I want to see that prevail in the public square. And I admit I have my agenda. Guys like George Stephanopoulos, Brian Williams, these guys are deceivers. They are, in some cases, evildoers by how they craft the questions and what they're after, how they're trying to throw a frag bomb, a little hand grenade into the room. Listen to this. This is a small itty-bitty illustration, but I laughed when I saw it. This is Reuters by Emily Stevenson. I don't know that I've had the pleasure of meeting her. And she quotes, "He's not taking any guff from anybody." Dewey Stedman, 70, a Republican from East Wenatchee, Washington, said, that was a long way of saying that a voter, a 70-year-old Republican man said that. And then she said of the publicity-loving billionaire. If you don't have something in your brains, you're not going to have billions of dollars. So she took this quote and then she said of Donald Trump, the publicity-loving billionaire. She could have said the front runner. She could have said the Republican front runner for president. She could have said the successful businessman. Instead, she said publicity loving. Maybe, Emily, maybe that's really not what it's about on this particular situation. That's editorializing. That's you throwing mud at him. How can her editors not catch this? How can any of us trust them? All right, so here's the New York Times. This is really funny. New York Times reported that Trump may be more than a summer fling. This was written by somebody at the Washington Post about an article in the New York Times, okay? So we get the best of both worlds here. Trump may be more than a summer fling, to the chagrin of Republican Party leaders. The businessman, quote, has built a broad, demographically and ideologically diverse coalition constructed around personality, not substance. Go to the hot place, New York Times. How do you know that it's just about his personality and not substance? What is it? Is that the substance that you approve of? Did I just say go to the hot place? Can I say that was probably unkind of me? I'm sorry. I don't want the entire paper to go there. I really don't. Constructed around personality, not substance, that bridges demographic and political divides. In doing so, he has effectively insulated himself from the consequences of startling statements that might instantly doom rival candidates, the paper wrote, pointing out that Trump leads among Republican women, evangelical Christians, moderates, college-educated voters. He also leads among likely and frequent voters. Do you understand what this means? Do you get it? Forget the other candidates for a minute. And maybe the New York Times should go to the hot place because that's where a lot of their stories are born, okay? Trump is leading in every corner of the base that matters. I saw a poll over the weekend. He's stomping the others with evangelical Christians. He's got more than twice the support of Michael Huckabee. Michael Huckabee is an evangelical pastor. And Trump is beating him by more than 2-to-1 margin among evangelicals. Okay? If you look at these polls that are out there, the other candidates are in crisis mode. And they don't know what to do. But I'll give the New York Times and poor Miss Emily Stevenson from Reuters and this guy from the Washington Times, or the Washington Post, I'll give you all a clue. In fact, here's a quarter. Let me find a quarter, and I'll let you buy a clue. Hold on. I'm not sure if I've got a quarter on me. Oh, I have. I've got 2 pennies. I'll give you my 2 cents worth, okay? Donald Trump is surging ahead because of the unthinkable rage, the undescribable rage that so many Americans feel towards illegal immigration, towards bad press and unethical reporters like you. He's surging ahead because he's tapped into the anger towards political correctness. He's tapped into the anger against the Republican machine, the Republican Party in Washington, D.C., that promises us one thing and doesn't deliver. He's tapped into that anger. And because he says things that are politically incorrect, things that you reporters say when you're with your friends, you call people names. Yeah, you do. He says it publicly And then people say, well, we all talk like that to some degree or another. We'll give him a pass. Yeah, I really don't like that woman. I can see how I could call her a name. It's like he's doing us all a service to tear down the politically correct nonsense that has shackled us and made people afraid to hear and to say the truth. One last thing, I gotta go. I get to Hillary and Biden. I don't trust Trump. I don't trust him. He's wrong on, so far he's wrong on Planned Parenthood. I want to hear him way more clearly on key social issues. But what he's done is he has paved the way for someone like Ted Cruz or Scott Walker, or please heaven forbid Jeb Bush, but he's paved the way for Alan Keyes someday. If I'm called, I'll serve. To be able to say the truth. To say the truth and not be apologetic. And when a twitty little media reporter, a little twitty reporter gets in your face, to tell him, no, you're wrong. Excuse me. I've done that before. And I love watching him do it because I've done it. I gotta go. I gotta talk about Hillary and Biden when we come back. Don't go away. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're gonna run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. Joe Biden, our current vice president, he is going to run for president. He is going to run. Take it to the bank. If I'm wrong, I'll play this tape, mark this, I'll play the tape and I'll eat my words. Humble pie. He's going to run. Now, if I was advising Joe Biden on a just strictly political level, on a spiritual level, if I was advising Joe Biden, I would say you need to repent, because if you died right now, you'd probably go to a very dark and hot place. Because he says he's Roman Catholic and yet he promotes the murder of babies and the assault on marriage. That puts him in big trouble with the Almighty, okay? So if I was advising him spiritually, I'd say you need to have a conversion, sir. If I was one of the sold out lackeys of the Democratic Party, sold out ethically, I would say to him, and by the way, it's important that we're able to put ourselves inside of our enemies' heads, okay? It's really important. I would say to him, Mr. Vice President, wait. Wait till the last possible second. Wait until more emails come out from Hillary's private server. Wait until an FBI or a Justice Department official says something that's more damning to the Clinton campaign about this being a criminal investigation. Wait for there to be a crescendo of people calling for you to run, to save the party from Hillary. Hillary is in deep trouble, people. With every passing day, she is in deep trouble. Her campaign is in trouble. Bernie Sanders, that left-wing wacko, socialist, he's not a wacko, he is crazy, but he's also a socialist. He's getting huge crowds. Hillary can barely fill up a small gym, and then she gets in a fight with the reporters, okay? Biden, every day that Biden does not announce is free press for him. I'm thinking, he meets with so-and-so, he met with so-and-so, he'll meet with big shot political people, he'll meet with big shot money people. And then at the last second, say, because people want me to run, I'm going to run. And then you will see a surge in his numbers, and it will help crater Hillary's campaign. God save us from Hillary, God save us from Biden.